is what is expected to happen today. Faky Mento will be given about 40 minutes, or perhaps I should say the council has given herself 40 minutes to wrap up the evidence in chief of the former ANC MP Faky Mento. And as you correctly mentioned, right towards the end of her testimony yesterday, Faky Mento breaking down in tears, saying that she feared that her safety was not or possibly could be compromised given what she had discovered in her hotel room, that the door locks seemed to have been tampered with. And she says she discovered this some 2 nights ago when she initially came into that hotel room. So the commission chairperson, Raymond Zondo, the judge, saying that, or instructing his team, that they have got to look into it in order to make Ms. Mento feel much more comfortable. But I'm not alone. I am with Aaron Bates, and let's talk now about the statement that Faky Mento is likely to possibly be taken through today. This is her original statement, Aaron Bates, that she would have drafted. I think this was back when it was, I think 2 years ago, she said. She drafted this statement with the police officers, senior police officers in Durbanville police station in Cape Town, and she struggled to get a hold of this statement from the police. Tell us where she says she eventually received word about the whereabouts of this statement.
Well, what she said during the inquiry yesterday was that this statement, which had been transcribed by policemen, she'd met with these policemen, quite rightly as you say, from the Durbanville police station, including a very senior policeman there, and they'd then written down her statement as she'd given it orally. And it was then taken, she says, by private jet from the Western Cape to Gauteng and ended up in the control of the Hawks in Pretoria. And she describes General Klemeza there, and also described how this head of investigations in the Western Cape had told her what had become of her statement. And she then told Zondo and the inquiry that she'd repeatedly tried to obtain her original written statement, but we must emphasize here, not written by her, transcribed by these police officers, and didn't manage to do so, and said only it was not today's yesterday, but yesterday's yesterday. So 2 nights ago, she says, that she was able to see that original written version of her statement. And she had said yesterday in the inquiry she hadn't been able to read it in full.
Aaron, let's talk about the perhaps what some would call discrepancies in her testimony. Coming to light yesterday, what she was saying was that shortly after the meeting with the Guptas, she said, and of course the President Zuma in Saxon World, she then goes to the ANC and she speaks to 2 ANC officials in the ANC Secretariat. And among these officials is Gwede Mantashe and Jesse Duarte. Jesse Duarte now saying that she actually never met with Mento, and in fact, she never was the Deputy Secretary General in 2010.
Yes, there's so many people who've said we didn't meet with Faky Mento, we didn't phone Faky Mento, we don't know Faky Mento. That's in fact what the presidency's statement said when she'd made that initial Facebook post talking about this 2010 meeting at the Saxon World Shebeen. So people really disowning her, which may resonate with her describing the cold shoulder of her comrades when she was in China. But I think what is important there is to speak to your point of discrepancy. Faky Mento has gone off script, you could say, from her witness statement. And it's true that Zondo said to her, tell us a story, don't keep reading from your statement, which itself would probably be used against you by counsel if we get to cross-examination, or when we get to cross-examination. But also the fact that she has deviated so much from the witness statement, talking about, you know, turnstiles at an airport in Hong Kong, going through the finer details of the interior of the Saxon World Shebeen. All of this may come up and be used against her when cross-examination happens.
And that brings us to the point about the opportunity for those who are implicated, people like Lakela Kaunda, who's very adamant that she never did have a conversation with Faky Mento in 2010, although Faky Mento does insist that indeed it was Lakela Kaunda who arranged for that meeting that eventually took place at Saxon World. What is the final word from the Commission in as far as the opportunity to cross-examine or test the veracity of what is claimed here?
With all respect, you're asking the wrong person. We're going to have to wait and hear what Zondo says on Friday. But we do know, though, 3 people have filed applications for cross-examination, and Zondo said when I allow cross-examination. So it's just a matter of formality at this point. So Konda is among them, Fana Tlongwane as well, and Mtolo, this person in the Hawks that Mentor describes telling her to omit crucial information from that original written statement or transcribed statement, saying, for example, she should omit the name of then-President Jacob Zuma, omit her assertion that Zuma had a corrupt relationship with the Guptas and Duduzane Zuma was also involved in that corrupt relationship as alleged by Mentor. So those 3 people have applied and are going to get the final official word on that on Friday.
All right, thank you very much for the time being. Aaron Bates, my colleague, watching closely the state capture inquiry from day one. And of course, today, as you mentioned much earlier, Michelle, in your intro, we also expect right after Mento to hear from the former government communications CEO, Themba Maseko, and as he's going to tell us under oath, once again, as he perhaps would have previously done with the public protector, what exactly transpired when the former president asked him to help the Gupta brothers.
All right, thanks very